I found out that the English word edge, actually the first part of the name, it seems to be like it seems to have Germanic roots, and the first part seems to be the word edge in English is what Eck stands for, and art was also hard or hard. So it was like a hard edge or like a hard blade. Is what
So
the is what the
Eckhart.
name comes from.
Yeah, I like
Eckart. Yeah.
Eckhart. Yeah. So I'm here with Dennis Eckhart, everyone of Autonomy Season 1. Fans go crazy, yeah? Excellent. So Dennis, you're in Germany. You lived in Jamaica for many, many years. Tell us about that journey. Did you leave Germany directly, go to Jamaica? How long did you live in Jamaica? And when did you move back to Germany?
I lived in Jamaica for 15 years. I left Germany in 2004, yeah, and I'm back here since late last year. So it must have been end of November, December last year. That's when we came to Germany. So that was me and my wife and our two children, Emma and Luca, and Colleen is the name of my wife. And we came back late last year.
How's the
And
family?
I left to Jamaica. Yeah, sorry.
How's the family adapting to Germany?
Oh, pretty well actually. Yeah. So the children, especially, well, Luca is only 2 years old, so he can't express himself like full yet, but he seems to be really happy. And Emma especially, she's gonna be 6 in May, and yeah, she's not she's missing like friends and family sometimes, just as we are as well. But like she's full blown happy here. She's in the forest kindergarten here now, and she was longing very much, to be among other children and to link up with, with children of her age, and the many amenities of the first world, like, it's like she being able to ride her bicycle outside here in the road up and down, and so that's amazing stuff. And then a major factor, of course, has been to be around, her grandparents, to have grandma and grandpa around, and auntie and uncle, and yeah, so that's like a big thing for her. And we have been lucky to be able to visit, like at least once per year before with them. So she knew like the neighborhood, and she made some friends like up the road from grandmommy, where we used to stay when we visited here. So it was not like how you call, like a cold turkey thing or jump in the cold water, but it was coming to a place that she already was a little familiar before with. So yeah, and then Colleen, of course, she was very eager to leave Jamaica. So for her, yeah, it was like a dream to be able to live in a different, not only environment, but like in a different country as well. So yeah, I think we're pretty good here so far. I think I'm the one I'm the one who took the longest while to kind of like come to terms with, or realizing that actually, okay, I think we're here right now. It took me actually quite a while.
My story is very similar to yours. I lived abroad 18 years and have, 3 years ago moved back to where I'm from with my wife and 2 kids. Yeah, and it's strange to come back home after so long abroad, and sometimes being home, your own home, feels like a foreign country in many ways. But as you know, uh,
Yeah.
people in our situation, you learn to appreciate the good things. You learn to appreciate both sides of each situation, and that's what it's all about, really. I think.
Yes, definitely. I learned over the years to appreciate things so much that, I took for granted before, or that, like that I only after losing them or after not having them, I realized like how beneficial they are, and how much I can appreciate them now because I know how it is not to have them. And same like you said, also it's in many ways it seems like yeah, like here, like coming from Jamaica, like what people call like a third world country, I guess. Being back here, many times it feels like living in a bubble. Like everything seems cushioned here, and it's an illusion in many ways as well. But yeah, it's like I don't know, like the bus comes on time, and there's like life seems to be worth so much more here, in many ways. and yeah, like it's just it's different, you know, like it seems like people here live in a more protected, bubbly, so bubbly world in some ways, you know? But of course, like reality kicks in as well. So you know, sometimes it's like, oh no, you guys live in Jamaica, and there's so much things happening there, and violence, and especially in the areas, you know, that I would work, and then of course I would share with my friends and family, you know, some things I saw and I witnessed, and some of the stuff I came across, and some of the realities there. And then they're like, oh my gosh, and it's, you know, that's wow. And but at the same time, you have those things here because life just catches up with you in many different ways, and it might seem more safe and protected to some, but actually, you know, like you know, things can happen here as well as they can there. And so it just taught me over the years to be really grateful for what we have, you know, for the loved ones, and for the moments that we have, for the opportunities that we have, being together, and living in the moment, having, you know, like we just learned in Autonomy, having those assets, you know, time to share together, time to spend together, and loved ones around us. You know, those are really some of the most valuable assets, as Richard taught us in the course, you know, that we have. So to come to terms with that, and to become aware of that, has been like one of the major lessons, I guess, that I'm taking from my experiences living abroad.
Yeah, you're right. You know what it's like. Very well said. Yeah. I was really impressed at the permaculture that you did in Jamaica. I saw the photos that you put up, the natural buildings that you made. Could you tell a little bit about that? How did you learn to do that, and how many of those, I don't know, I wouldn't call them buildings, houses, did you make? And what kind of building material? Were they earth bags? Was it rammed earth? Could you elaborate a little bit on that aspect?
Sure. Well, it all where it all started was like just pure necessity, really, because, you know, like I went there to teach capoeira, and I work with children, youths in inner city communities especially, and I just at some point I just couldn't really make a living from it, and it was like, whoa, like I just sat down and I thought, what else can I do? Because I can't make ends meet. I can't really put bread on the table with just, you know, working with children, youth in the inner city. And I had done like some personal training with you know, private clients before, and then I was struggling along, but it wasn't really like fulfilling at the time. So I was looking. I always like ask myself, what can I do that is not only beneficial to myself, but that also helps people around me, and ideally like has a positive impact on the planet at the same time. So I was like brainstorming and trying to find something else that I could do that also, you know, could provide for me. And I came across car tire recycling, and it kind of excited me because, like, you know, the areas that I would go in and work with the children, that there was so much garbage all over the place and looked so rundown, and like there were all those old tires all over the place. And I think I came across somebody who, like, you know, who made some flower spots from car tires, and I continued to research about it, and found out different projects that people did recycling car tires. So I was, oh, that's exciting. And then somehow I came across Michael Reynolds, who is the founder of, who is an architect in the States, who figured out to build houses, like completely self-sustainable houses, that he called Earthships. From
Michael Reynolds, he said?
Michael, yes, Michael Reynolds. He's from Teos, in New Mexico, I believe.
Taos, northern Mexico.
Yeah, there was a.
He was involved in the Earthship project then. He must have been.
Exactly, yeah. So
that's where the Earthships are. I've stayed in one of those before. Yeah, we were in Taos year before last, and we spent the night in an Airbnb that was one of the original Earthships from that area. Very interesting. Oh, sorry. Okay, keep going.
Wow, sweet. Yes. Excellent. Yes. So he's the one who brought that concept together of the Earthships, and who developed it, as far as I understand. And so that was like, wow, that was amazing. So there was the whole Earthship thing that blew me away on a different level, because it's like that put like a new paradigm like in life for me, because like, wow, you know, you can actually set up yourself in life in a way that you live in a house, and the house doesn't only provide you with shelter, but it also you know, it collects rainwater, and it fulfills like all your water needs by collecting rainwater and filtering it to drinking quality. And you have an inbuilt greenhouse, so it provides like at least like part of your food, you know. You're growing your own food, and yeah, so it protects you, it nourishes you in different ways, and it treats your own sewage as well, so you can like live a completely off-grid independent life. And you know, who's gonna tell you to slave away in some kind of job that you don't even like for the rest of your life, just to provide, you know, basic needs and then put food on the table for you and your family. If you can set up yourself like that. So that like really blew me away. And I started to research, and I got some of his books, and yeah, and I saw other like projects of people like doing some simple things with car and truck tires. And I just like, you know, I got a knife, and I started to, you know, carve out tires and walk about the place and pick up some of those tires and brought them home. And then I started to play around with that, and it worked out pretty nice.
So
and
that's
it was like a
started
simple
by
thing, you know, like
you just started collecting tires here and there, and that's how it started. Just started off small.
yeah,
Went for it when
yeah. And I cut up some tires, and I taught myself like how to turn them, you know, there's a way to flip them around. And you know, so I was like wrestling tires for like a couple of days, and it started to become weeks. And then I found out like the little, like how to get the right paint and how to paint them and set them up. And then, you know, some friends saw it, some students, and oh, that looked pretty, oh, that looked nice, and that's amazing. And yeah, so I kind of like, because it taught me to see to see solutions instead of seeing a problem, you know, because then I began to see the old garbage that looked so nasty and that collected, you know, water, and mosquito were breeding and disease and all kind of something. And because in Jamaica, I have to say, like, we have a bunch of old tires, because there's no, unlike in Germany and the US as well, it's actually like a government controlled thing, I believe, like car tire recycling. So there's like huge factories, and then you have like recycling of car tires, and those factories, they disintegrate the tires in the thread, in the wire that is part of them, and in the rubber, and then they remake other products out of those materials again. And in Jamaica, we don't have any of that, but we have people that, you know, run down the tires on their trucks until, you know, they're basically, you know, falling apart. And then we buy used tires as well from the States, especially. So those tires that cannot be worn again on the cars in the States, they're shipped to Jamaica, and then people use them again, and then when they break down, you know, they patch them up again and use them somewhere.
So the American companies, they send the old tires to Jamaica. Were they doing that?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, actually, here in Germany is a similar thing.
Yeah.
Here in Germany is a similar thing, because like I guess the rules are tough here. So, you know, if it goes down to a certain amount of millimeters of profile, then you're not allowed to put them on the road again, and, you know, the police might take away your vehicle if you have you know, bad tires.
Oh yeah, no.
So then people from here in Germany, Eastern Europe, they will just, you know, they will buy them off or take them as garbage, and then they will use them in I don't know, Poland or Eastern European countries. Because they can work, you know, it's just not, they're not, I guess, as safe and as good again, but they can work for a couple more months, and then people do that. But, you know, when you get those used tires, then they won't last as long, and then you soon have to discard them. And then if you don't, in the case of Jamaica, if you don't have any recycling facilities, then they just end up on the dump. And then, you know, coincidentally, the big dump that we have close to Kingston there, like it burns down like once per year, and causes like a huge like fire of tires that can't be extinguished for sometimes for weeks, and then everybody comes down with asthma and a whole heap of problems. So yeah, there's a whole chain of events, like, I guess, related to the problem of tires specifically.
That's amazing. How long did it take you to build your first structure from the recycled material?
Sorry, breaking up a little bit. You asked me how long did it take to make the first product?
Yeah, how long did it take you to build your first structure from the recycled material?
Oh, a structure. Okay, cool. So the structure came along a little later. So I started to do simple stuff, like you know, flowers, pots, and then I started to do birds from them. Like the national bird in Jamaica is the hummingbird, or doctor bird as we call it there. So I taught myself how to carve out, how to cut those tires, and use you know, jigsaws and metal cutting blades, and kind of shape parrots or hummingbirds from them and paint them. And then people saw them and they got excited about it, and then they wanted some for their garden, and you can hang them, you know, at your veranda in the garden and beautify you know, the surroundings, or put like a flowers pot inside. So those were the first projects I did. And then of course I was really excited about the Earthship. And but there was I found out that there was an Earthship being built in Jamaica, but it was on the other side of the island, and it was, you know, very hard to really go there. But eventually, I linked up the guy who did the Earthship in that's in Negril on the that's on the west end of the island. And I visited there, and it was like blown away, like just to see it like live, you know, there was thousands of plastic bottles being used for it, and then many car tires, and it was just amazing. And to get like live feedback and to get a little tour of that Earthship. And then after a little while, I actually was able to access a lot, which is about 5 miles out of Kingston, like on a very on a like a abandoned mountain top, which is like, it's close to the city still, but it was really like bush, as you would say in Jamaica. So it was like far off the beaten path. And so there was a gentleman, and he was kind of intrigued by my vision, or by the idea of creating a center, which has been my dream. So the vision that I was really going after was initially, it was to have my own school, my own capoeira school, where that would be like a safe and neutral place where I could work with children from all the different communities, where I could work, you know, with private students, and basically bring people together, which is really the vision that I set out to do in Jamaica, to kind of bridge that social gap. You know, you have uptown and downtown, you have a really divided society there. And then on top of that, you have different communities that are often at war with each other. So, you know, there's invisible borders. If you Trenchtown, you might be familiar with the name Trenchtown. You know, that is one community, but it's really divided in 7 communities. So if I go in one part of the community, I only access the children and youths in the immediate surrounding, but the ones from down the road, they can't come because, you know, they're afraid to cross that border. And then, so it was very difficult to access, like, you know, even the entire community, because and it was very tedious to really go all over the place in order to access, to give all the children and youth like the same access to my classes. So I always thought, okay, if I have an academy where all people just come and, you know, be at ease, and I could, you know, like set it up in a way that it would be really accommodating, and it would really help me to foster like a holistic development in the children and youth, and transfer values, you know, through the capoeira sessions that I was doing at the time. So that was the initial idea. And then of course I came across, you know, permaculture and carta recycling, the Earthship. So it was like, oh wow, you know, it can't be like just a capoeira school. It will have to be a center, like a holistic center that really enables those children, youths, and adults as well, that, you know, they might not even be into capoeira, but maybe they're like into music, into dancing, into organic farming, into, you know, independent, self-reliant living, into, you know, just meeting each other, into yoga, into meditation. So it became that vision of a holistic space that really would facilitate the transformation of people, and bring together people, local people, but also international people. So my vision was to create a space that gave room, even like for international people who would come to Jamaica for holidays, or who would be interested in capoeira, who would be part of a global permaculture community, of a global capoeira community, or who would be just interested in Jamaica itself, and they could come and share some of their skills and share some of their stories, of their life stories, with the local children and youth, and through that basically open up, you know, windows to a new life, and give them a vision of life that they would not able to gain, you know, just being among themselves. So the vision grew to that. So actually, but coming back to the initial question, I only built one of those Earthship structures, and that was on that lot that I eventually found through this gentleman who was like intrigued by the kind of vision I had, and who said, well, you know, I have a piece of land like out there in the bush, and it has been just laying there for like 15 years. And it's really like steep, and it's basically a mountainside. It's like a precipice. It's set on the map, it's a precipice, and it was almost vertical. And then I was looking at it, I was like, oh gosh, like, you know, for years and years, I walked all over downtown, and there's so many abandoned lots, like right downtown in the city in Kingston, like in bad areas. Nobody's using them, and I tried to get like a hand on them, and try to get like a peppercorn rent or something like that. And everybody just wanted to, it seemed to rip me off and charge like a bunch of money, like for something really like a destroyed lot, and like I wouldn't be able to even make back that money at all, or to bring any paying students down to the site. So it didn't work out. I was frustrated, and then this gentleman come along and said, well, I have a mountain lot and it's a precipice, but, you know, you want to do it? You want to try there? And I said, well, it seems as if life, you know, is pointing at that spot at the time being. So yeah, so if it's me alone, like I just take up a shovel and do what I can. and if other people get inspired, you know, surely help will come from some side. So that was the beginning of that mountain lot, of that site that I started to develop, and I ended up working there for 10 years. And I set up what's called a hut, or Michael Reynolds called it a Earthship hut. So that is not like a full, a big Earthship building, but it's like a one bedroom building, but it's fully functional. And actually what I did is I copied a project that they did at the time in Haiti. So, you know, I'm not sure if you remember the catastrophe that they had in Haiti. I think it was an earthquake. Yeah, and so the Earthship people, they did like a relief project where they where like a core group of them, a core team, went to Haiti, and they set up this Earthship building, which was fully functional, which has all the rainwater collection, the wastewater treatment, which used tires and plastic bottles and basically resource materials that were on hand there, and really like low cost and simple methods to set it up. And they would also integrate locals basically and teach them in the process of building how to build it for themselves. So I was really like intrigued by that, and I had bought like some books from Michael Reynolds that also featured some some building plans of those huts, and then I just tried to copy and watch as many as possible of those videos that these guys posted online while doing the project in Haiti, and I basically copied that project and set up one of those huts like on a abandoned mountain lot somewhere in the bush in Jamaica. So yeah, so that was the project on that mountainside right there.
And what's going on there now?
That is a very good question. What happened there is basically the lot is like a 4-acre lot, and it literally is a precipice. So to start there, what I learned later, like I did a permaculture design course. So I learned if I had known the very basics of permaculture design at the beginning, I probably would have run away from the place. And like so many people told me, no man, you can't do it, and it's impossible, you can't do it. I said, like, I think it's part of my character, my personality, to kind of, when things get rough or when it gets difficult, instead of turning my back and walking away, I'm just saying no, like even more so now, like as if I have to prove something, not to anybody, but really to myself, and to kind of, like if things get adverse, I'm kind of like I push even harder. And then, so that's what I did with a lot as well. And first of all, like I had to create an access way because there was no access to it. And I had to carve out like an access road to the site, to the actual site, in order to actually really reach there without having to climb up there with ropes. And like I brought 6 really seasoned backhoe operators and big machinery operators, like one after the other, each day a different one, and all of them shook their head and they said, no man, it's impossible, man, you're gonna like don all your money and there's no road can be cut and you can't do it. And they would walk off and say, okay, like I have to find somebody else. And I called somebody else, and then I did that like for 1 week. Every day I brought up a different operator, and they all shook their heads and said, no way, no, I have children, it's a suicide mission, that can't work. And until I found one, and he just looked at me and like he nodded, and like he would start to carve out like that access road, and he did it like in a few weeks. And he actually would get it done, and like his legs were shaking and he wouldn't come off his machine, like he was afraid to even walk around the place, but he actually carved the road. So that was even, that was so much work already to just even get like an access to the site. And then, like we had, the vision was that I would live, at the time it was just my wife and myself, so our children hadn't been born yet. So my idea was to create like a family home up there, because like somebody had to be there, had to live there, in order to facilitate the place, in order to facilitate the projects that I was planning to do. So I really was keen on putting everything, like all our resources, in that, because it wasn't only going to be like a center for people, but it was at the same time going to be like our place of living. So I put myself behind it and put all our resources in there, thinking that it was going to be the family home and the center. And to, in a nutshell, yeah, we ran out of money. Like we were promised some help, but it really didn't come true from the owner of the place. He said he was gonna invest in machinery and in operators, and he actually bought a backhoe, but it was a really old backhoe, and I had no idea about cars, about machinery. But we ran out of money. Basically, I couldn't pay the operator again, so I was sitting there with an old backhoe that kept on breaking down every day. putting all the money that we had saved up for, for living there, like in the machinery to get the place leveled down, because really the place was very narrow. It was just 1 meter, about 1 yard, left and right. It was like a precipice. So I had to kind of cut down the mountaintops. I literally had to like cut down a mountaintop in order to get a terrace that would give me enough space to set up a building. So I taught myself how to run the backhoe, how to fix the backhoe on a daily basis, and I had quite a few adventures and, like all those life lessons of, people trying to rip you off and saying they put in a new part and they put in an old part and then the patching, like that's like a whole book in itself. But I get it down like to a certain level, and then that I could start a building, and I started the building, which was the Earthship hut, and then subsequently I added I did something which was really exciting, and which is using heavy machinery. It's like a permaculture thing that Bill Mollison talks about in his book, where you basically use heavy machinery to cut down, to dig down into the ground, and to support a roof that could be like a freestanding, just a metal roof, and it's basically dig down in the mountain. So that's what I did, and it seemed reasonable because we're on top of a mountain. So in Jamaica we have storms. So what I did is basically I carved out 3 sides of the building, like out of the rock, basically with using the backhoe, and using like a jackhammer as well, which was a whole different experience. Like I was spending weeks there with a jackhammer, with a whole jackhammer, it kept on breaking down as well, just digging down in the mountain. And I put a metal roof, like a 30 by 25 or by 30 by 40 feet metal roof. I put it on, I screwed it on like with 750 bolts, like with just a little screwdriver with one of those batteries, because there's no light up there.
Was it corrugated iron? What was the metal roof made of? What kind of metal?
Yeah, it was corrugated iron. So it was those industrial sheets. Yeah. I got a good deal on them, and then it was amazing, like to see how some, like from some people there was like tremendous support and admiration. Other people were like, oh my God, that's impossible, it doesn't work, and but it kept me going, because there was some people coming, visiting us, and they came from all parts of the world. And then I told them about the project, and they wanted to come. And then somebody else was coming from Germany, and he was like, what do you call it? Like he had burnout syndrome, and so, and then like he ended up like extending his vacation like for 6 weeks, and he was like with me up there every day, like really like digging away and just working his butt off. And he supposedly came with burnout syndrome, and like he was so excited about it, and like he overcome his his situations, like working like crazy, but really being fulfilled by it. So it gave me energy, and it gave me momentum, like to move on, to see how other people chip in and basically helping, and saw the vision as well that I had. And so, and then I met somebody who had like a good link to a factory of those metal sheets, basically for roofs. So that's what I put on. And so there was a lot of setbacks, and difficulties, but there was also, like people from close and far that really could see the vision and were supporting it. So that's really what carried it on as well. So I never really had the feeling as if it was me alone doing anything. I don't think we do anything alone in life. There's always, there's teachers, there's family, there's people around you that supported you, that made you, that gave you the ability of doing, of learning, of being where you are in life right now. So for me, it felt, I was continuously like checking back with myself, is that what I want to do? Is it what I love to do? And others were like, oh no, you're crazy, completely mad. They were shaking their head. No, there's the crazy madman, like, the crazy white man. And like, what is he doing with all those tires? Because I literally, over the years, I carried more than 13,000 truck tires and car tires up on that mountain. Yeah. So I would go all over Kingston, and with a little 1991 Isuzu Trooper, basically stuff like tires in the back of the vehicle and drive up and down the whole day and carry those tires up, because that's what I used to stabilize the road. There's a lot of landslides there, so I built retaining walls with the tires. I built like a road stabilizing belt covering the entire access road with tires, and eventually I built the Earthship hut also with tires. And so people saw it and recognized it, and then we got actually we got the support from the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica, which gave us some money. So I had a little money for 1 year to actually pay people to help me do that. And it was good to see. It was an interesting experience also to see that even being paid, most people would just drop off. They would say, oh my God, no, that's too hard, and no, I can't deal with that kind of work. And so it was interesting also to see and to learn, what motivates people, and how to I guess manage in a way, like how to manage others and see their worth ethics and so. And so it was like a lot of really interesting experiences. But I think I'm just like talking on, and I actually forgot the initial question. You asked me how about the lot, right? How
Yeah,
we
yeah. What's happening now in this place?
what's happening now, of course. So what happened 2 years ago, which is important to understand what's going on right now, is that the owner of the place, he was murdered. Um, and he eventually went on to deal with a different project for himself because he saw that my vision was slightly different from what he had planned initially. He wanted to set up like a big concrete castle and put up a hotel. And so I was like, oh no, I like want to live with nature. I want to align myself with nature. I want to facilitate people, in harmony with nature and working with children, with youths, and bringing international people as well. But I'm not like money also wasn't really my motivation for that. I had no motivation to set up like a concrete castle on the mountaintop, and it would have been like an investment way beyond what I could even imagine of identifying. So he actually moved on and worked on a different side, and he kind of left me, without the support that was promised initially, but also without like any restrictions, so I accepted that. But so what happened is that he was murdered, and he always had promised that in as exchange for the years of work and for all the investment I did on the side, he would actually like subdivide the land and write over the title of like at least 1 acre of the land where I actually put on the buildings. He would write it in my name, but he never did. So when that happened now, like it was a big setback in itself, obviously, because of losing the landowner basically, and support. It was like a dear friend of mine. It was basically, I was almost like an adopted son for him. So that was like a big lick, I would say, in Jamaica. And then his son came in, and he was making a lot of promises as well. Oh, you did so much for my father, and he never appreciated you, and this and that. So he's like, you can stay here, and you can live, and you can use, and I'm going to write over the land, and I'm going to give you this and that money, and I'm going to help you with the car and with the background. But it was all like, I figured out after a few months and so, and that there was investigation going on, and I was passing on all the files and the organizational stuff and all the things, his father's business and so on, to him. But once all those things were basically passed over to him, then it came out that it was a lot of talk, but not much more than that. So what happened to the mountain lot is, or what is happening there right now, it's pretty much still there as it is. So all the structures are there. I have some friends, like neighbors, you would call it. We don't really have neighbors there, but these people that pass through, and they might have a few cows up there. Some of them do some farming. They have some banana trees. So I keep in touch with them, and everything is in place. But so there's no activities going on. And what I did after this murder happened is that I really like looked within and said, wow, how do I feel about it now? And I knew things that could happen, and I didn't have any kind of guarantee, ever about owning something there. And I thought, if it feels right for me, then that's what I'm gonna do, and I don't regret anything. And like people shake their heads and say, oh, you put 10 years of your life in it, and you work like a slave, and you put all the money. Yeah, but I did it because it felt right for me at that time, so I don't regret it. And it was an amazing experience. And but so far it's still like up in the air. I don't know if I'm gonna get a title or how it's gonna be, but I was just hesitant of putting more work and more money in a place that is really like up in the air like that. So that's really what it is right now.
And think about all the invaluable lessons that you learned doing this. Your skill set had just skyrocketed during this experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that happened. It really is. But there's always a silver lining, always.
Yeah, and it's amazing even to know the feeling that made such a difference for me, to know that I can use my own 2 hands to build like a dwelling, for us to build a house. It was like, wow. And not just like any house, but like to use actually like hard door and and materials. I use the grass so I was really able to transform problems into solutions, because on this, like, I didn't have much money to carry sand and cement up there, and of course I used some, but that was really.
Sorry, Dennis, the internet's we're having a bad connection. Hold on just a second. I don't know if you can hear me. Just 1 minute. Let it all stabilize here.
and I could make something positive with that. So it taught me to see life with different eyes, and it gave me to be able that, you know, anywhere you drop me in this world now, I'm sure I'm going to find like plastic bottles and car tires. So I know I could make a business with that, and I could like build a house with that, and I could do something with that resource that other people look down at, you know, as being something wasteful and just as garbage.
Sorry, we were,
And I saw that value. And sorry,
we were disconnected there for a split second. Sorry about that.
Oh, sure.
Saw, but we're back now. So yeah, it's still recording. So I don't know.
Okay, good.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sure. It basically, you know, it motivated me to see life with different eyes and to see a solution where others would see, or where I before also saw a problem.
Yeah.
So, and that is amazing. And that is when I realized that, like the transformational power that this alone has as well. I started to teach the children, youths about that as well, because I did some community projects. And then I would go in the communities and not only teach capoeira, but I would teach them how to use the garbage that's on the roadside, you know, to get those tires, and let's cut them, and I show you how to turn them inside out. And then, you know, the bigger youths and the strong guys, they would, like, you know, take pride in who could turn the most tires, and, you know, because you need some strength to do that. And then the smaller children would come, and then they would plant flowers in it, and then, you know, grandma would bring some seeds, and then, you know, the neighbor would come and bring some water. So it was, wow, with something so little. I brought a few tools, and it was like 5 guys starting in the morning, like, and after 2 hours it was 20, and then after half day, you know, half the community was involved doing something. Everybody brought a shovel and the water and some seeds and the bench, and then in the end, you know, we created like a community garden that people could, you know, sit down and relax, or you know, people could like plant their own vegetables in those flower pots, and then I would do some courses for people so they could learn how to make products that could be sold. So it was like an income generating skill that I would transfer to children and youth, so they could make their own living of basically selling products out of garbage materials that were just laying around in the communities. So it was amazing for me to see, like, how, you know, nothing really changed in the, how would you say, in the environment initially, but the only thing people had to do is like change the perspective on things. So that was amazing for me. So I thought that's something I really enjoy doing, to help others to see life with different eyes, and through that transform the reality that they live in, the physical reality in terms of the environment, but also, you know, their perspective on life. So that was something tremendous. And then going back to the site after, you know, after that murder, basically I decided that I wasn't feeling comfortable with putting even more resources and more work into the place, especially since we had, you know, 2 babies. Yeah, so it wasn't really feasible. We couldn't really see how we find the money to even like set up a house to live there, and set up all the infrastructure that we needed to live there. So then what I did, and what I have been doing until late last year when we moved back here, is that I brought as many people as possible up there. So the place was not fully developed, but it was functional already. So, you know, we could use the space under the big roof. The Earthship was basically functional. So what I did, I brought you know, groups of students up there. I brought the project I was involved in with a big it's not a company, it's an NGO, an international NGO called Fight for Peace. So I was a coach for them, and our little charitable organization was part of the community-based project that ran there for 3 years. So there was other coaches, other martial arts coaches that were involved in this inner city program, you know, wrestling coaches, boxing coaches. So I did like coach development sessions up on the site, and, you know, everybody was just amazed by just being at the site, and it was amazing to see. And that was my vision, actually, that just by taking people out of their often depressing, you know, inner city environment, and taking them out into like a more natural environment, like how that's in itself would also like trigger some kind of transformation, and inspire them to even behave differently and to relate differently to each other and to the environment they're in. And so the last 2 years we're really focused on making as much use of the space, even, you know, unfinished but already functional. And so I would show people, you know, what you can do with tires and with plastic bottles. We would build some of those walls together. You know, like smaller children would come in and do like a project day from local schools, and so, you know, so many people got their hands dirty up on the site and kind of added to it. And we were using it for project without, you know, being fully functional. But that's where the space is right now. So, you know, I'm still excited of waiting what's going to happen with it. And that was like a big part for me also. I think a big difficulty for me to let go, not only of Jamaica, but also of the place, at least for the time being. I'm not sure like when or how we're going to be back. Like I'm still in contact with my guys. Like I have a few instructors that are continuing the classes and the work there. So I'm surely like going to continue to support the project and be back and forward there as much as I can. But I'm not sure, like, if you're going to end up living there again soon or a little later, how things will work out. And I'm just, there now watching what's going to happen to the site, and, how, if the person in charge, so to say, will change the attitude or will give us, access to it or give us a title, and then, whatever. So now, like, to circle back, instead of pushing against doors that, sometimes that might be closed, which is, I think I became really good at that. Like if something was hard or difficult, like I would be really like resilient and like push open doors that were closed before. So I decided really to focus on maybe looking left and right and seeing if there's a door open, or maybe there's even somebody waving and say, hey, come in, Trees, I'm waiting for you here. So I think that's one of the key lessons that I can take away from 15 years in Jamaica, is that sometimes doors are hard to open or are closed, because you're not supposed to go to them at this point of time. So sometimes it's good to look left and right and to see which doors are open. And so I decided to really focus on on going with the flow of life and basically see where things flow. And that's what I promised my wife as well, that last year, we were going to come for Christmas and New Year to check with family and say, okay, like if things open up and things flow, with the paperwork and with, living here now, if things open up, then, I'll be happy to go with that flow of life, because that's going to be surely the best thing, not only for me, but for us as a family. And so far, things have been developing here, and it's like a whole new chapter. And so I'm excited of being here. And at the same time, I'm really open of, what's going to develop in Jamaica or in other parts of the world. And, if things pull us to anywhere really, like, so I'm really open and just accepting to what life has to offer for us at that stage.
That's amazing, Dennis. Despite all the setbacks, you created something incredible. You did it yourself. I mean, you should be very proud of that. What about Autonomy Season 1? How has it improved your life since it's begun?
Oh, really tremendously. It's like, that is part of that flow that I was just mentioning. So when I said, okay, I'm going to focus on that flow, and then poof, I saw the email. Richard's email was like, wow, I had this like gut feeling right away. This is for me. Like, I had some moments in my life where I was like so sure about something, and I was just that nobody could tell me that's wrong. Even like with a mountain, that's my thing. Okay, I have to do this, and everybody's saying it's crazy and you're mad and it can't work. But no, that's my thing. I have to do this. And like with Autonomy, it was the same feeling from the get-go. And so we sat together and like, oh, it was a lot of money. We never really spent so much money like on courses, but yeah, we had to do it. And so we signed up for it, and it was the right thing at the right time of my life, because I came here and I had this feeling and this notion of really like things just downloading for me. So like all the hustle and bustle of being there, like interacting with children and having to drive between communities on a daily basis and having the children at home. And so it was just like a hustle and bustle every day. And I was engaged in physical teaching and then training for myself, and then so stepping out of that and being here in Germany, it's like, oh, it's like a whole change of reality, and like things seem to start downloading. So I came up like with a list of 30 projects that I wanted to do, like from recording music and CDs and to doing lectures, and to continue kind of trying to put into form, doing tutorials and like or writing like ideas for books. And I had this list of projects, and it was getting like ever longer, but I didn't really have the tools or I guess the vision or the knowledge of how to structure it properly. And some of the things that were kind of fleshed out already, so I had a good vision, but most of them were kind of like just loosely coming together. So what Autonomy did, like right in the beginning from the get-go, is really pointing out those gaps and those things that I had not been taught before, by school, by my teachers, but also by my parents, not for lack of not wanting, but also I could see that how most people around me also are lacking, those and having those gaps, and therefore we're not even able to teach me about that, whether it's about money or about constructive communication, communicating worth, even like self-worth. And yet my relationship to money. And in many ways, like I felt, just like you mentioned, like successful, like I know I achieved things, and I transformed and I impacted other people's lives in a positive way. And that was really fulfilling. But on other levels also, it's like in terms of, economic self-reliance and stuff, like I was a little behind, to say the least. And so I saw myself struggling there. So, and I felt that years ago, and many of the things that we, or many of the people, like, the rich dad, poor dad thing, and Kiyosaki and other, like, researchers and really amazing personalities that that for me are being like recycled through the course now. It's like, oh, I came across them like 10 years ago when I felt like in my gut, I felt like, oh, there's something missing and I have to educate myself. So I tried to do it myself, and I came across some amazing books and podcasts. But so I tried to do that research before, but it didn't do what Autonomy is doing right now. So that's really amazing, because it brings things together that sometimes I would have been exposed to before, I heard about before, but it brings it together in a coherent way. So it in a logical order, so to say, and also, of course, with the impact of the community. What we are doing right now, that just like blew me away from the get-go, and it really was it was such a, and it is like such a learning curve. It is so tremendously exciting to actually be able to see the potential that is still there. So it gives me a tremendous excitement to just be able to see what is the potential that I still could develop. And so like physically, what has been happening with those lists of 30 projects that I had at the beginning of the course, I was basically able to I rewrote them. Must have been like 3 dozen times, some of them. And so my idea was to have like an online portfolio, because my wife did one. It was really nice. And so I thought, oh, that would be good for myself as well. Instead of working on the charitable organization websites only, like I could put like all my skills on that, because that goes beyond the scope of the organization. And then like I heard about the landing pages, and I heard about how to communicate value and how to do it in a proper way, and then like get a little idea about copywriting. So it's like, wow, like every week it just got more amazing. So I had to rewrite things again and again and again, and I'm still doing that. But in the process of that, it's basically simplifying, in a way, simplifying, and it's really pointing out my deficiencies in a way. And that is like it feels like a growth process that is it's not even so much even like for the business side of things. And I never felt like I had a business side, so that was one of the blind spots I had as well, because it never felt that any of what I was doing or setting out to do was business, and like money never motivated me. Like it was never a business. It was just I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to be. And so now, like it is being pointed out for me, like from other members of the course and through the course itself, that business also has its place. The value of money also has its place. And so it becomes something that I'm not like shying away from or like having negative feelings about, but it's something that I can embrace right now. So that in alone is like a huge transformation for myself that really was triggered and stimulated through the course and the members of the course.
Yeah, that's great. It's been a good ride, definitely. Were you ever, I was going to ask, what skill would you say has improved the most, that you were the most lacking on, but that has singularly just skyrocketed more than anything else? Like for me, it was my time management skills. What would you say?
Well, first, what popped up in my mind first was communication. And that's funny, because I don't think I was bad in communication. And like I speak languages, so I have the technical resources, I would say, and the ability of communicating, and I can talk. I interact with my students like almost on a daily basis. I was accustomed to speaking in front of groups, and I think I was doing so, in an efficient way, and like people reported back, oh, that was really good. And just in the last year, like I taught psychological first aid to children and youth, but also to child care workers. And I was working, in a high security prison, and then a juvenile detention area, center also in Kingston. So like communication really was like a part of what I did on a daily basis. But I think the course just gave me a different level of that, and it enabled me and it stimulated me also to communicate with, it seems like almost anybody. So like now when I'm, you know, waiting at the bus stop or you know, sitting somewhere on a bench, and like I feel like I could just turn around and start a conversation with almost anybody, and I would be excited about that. So while before that I was excited of working, you know, with the target group or the people I really sought to interact with, but I feel now that, wow, like I probably lost like a lot of conversations and positive feedback I could have gotten from people that, you know, like I didn't know how to start a conversation with, and a meaningful conversation. And like for me it was always like the whole, you know, like just chit chat and like like small talk. I was never good at that. So some people, you know, probably would shy away and say, oh, like he's kind of cold, or he doesn't really want to talk. But because I was always looking for like meaningful conversations.
So you're
And
able to
but
control
now having,
in a more controlled way. Is that what you mean? You're able to control your narrative and a bit more structure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I,
yes, and also, and I feel excited because even like seamless, like small talks or like seamless, meaningless conversations, or that start about like, you know, like a mundane thing, but I can steer them now to a point where I find out about, you know, somebody else's life and their struggles in life, or you know, their techniques, how they overcome hurdles in their life, and that's something like exciting and stimulating to me. So it really stimulated me to want to, you know, just know more and interact with others around me. So it gave me more hands-on tools to do that. But when you said then, you know, organizing yourself, that was a biggie for me as well. So just you know, getting things done, for example, that was something that like I felt, oh, I need that. So like the same day, like I started to, you know, clean my desk and like structure my things differently, and that has been ever since. So I was really able to pull through with that and do it, and I surely can improve on that as well. But that gave me like a really hands-on tool of organizing and structuring myself, and that has been, yeah, tremendously impactful. And I think like others around me as well, you know, my wife like can see that as well, and it is I was able to do that in my physical environment, you know, like setting up, you know, like some folders and where I put things, and I don't think I was disorganized before. Well, now I think I was, or now I can see how disorganized I was before, and how many things try to resolve in my mind, and then, you know, there was always, it seemed like clogged up. And it was true what you know, what was said, like as soon as I learned to put it on paper and to put it down and then just categorize it and prioritize it, it's like, well, even more ideas came. So first, you know, I had this list like of 30 art projects, and then after I did that, the list just doubled overnight, it seemed. And now it seems like every time I just think of something, like so many ideas come in, like I hardly can even like keep track of it. So that's the difficulty I have right now, and that's what, you know, was pointed out, you know, like so eloquently, like just yesterday with Agnieszka, like when I have too many things in one basket, and like I'm so interested in so many things, and you know, like I have a few skills, and so it's like so many things that I try to organize and I try to bring together and communicate to others in a coherent way. So that's my that's what I'm working on right now, to be able to simplify those things and to go to the core of what I want to do, or where I want to go in life. And yeah, so I'm looking at autonomy right now also, how to at the techniques that I've been learning, how to really get to the core of what I want to communicate and what I want to do, and then leave the other things, not discard them, but leave them around, and know where my priorities are, where I have to put my focus and attention in order to also, you know, get the economic success up, you know, in a way, and not to be shy or afraid of doing so, or feeling badly about doing that as well.
That's great, Dennis. I'm gonna go, and as you know, Brett Vinot's hanging out in Discord now, so I think we're gonna. That's the amazing thing about autonomy. You know, you're hanging out with these famous people, and he's there online today taking questions. You know, it's about the networking and the people you meet, and as you said, the communication skills, time management. One last question: do you have a? It's high on my project. I don't have one yet. A landing page. Have you established a landing page yet?
It is in the works. It has been in the works, and I shared it with Anthony and with Agnieszka, who are helping me to set it up. It's not at a stage where I really want to you know, send it out just yet, especially since I'm figuring out right now what to do in order to make it efficient. So like, I hope that within the next week, like I have it up and I want to share it with everybody and then just collect as much feedback as possible. And yeah, that's something I'm really excited about, just to get the landing page up and to put, to integrate and personalize, you know, the knowledge that have been exposed to through the course, and you know, like just apply it right away and then see how that looks and get feedback from everybody. So yeah, so I'm really working on the landing page, and I can't wait to share it, because I feel like I have like a list of all friends and contacts like from years ago that I want to go through, and it's like it's just another, it's something I wait for, you know, that landing page to be up, and then to reconnect with people, you know, that I might not have been talking to for a long while, and of course to use it also as a topic and as something that I could gain feedback on from other members of the group. And you know, who knows, like maybe it can also eventually help others to do the same. So the trial and error that I'm going through. So yeah, so the landing page, we're talking about accountability. You know, like I will say it will be up in the next week, at least like at a rudimental stage. And then so that's a commitment I will make right now.
Dennis, thank you very much for talking to me today. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Chris. It has been a really amazing opportunity, and I really appreciate you, you know, being the first one to interview me like that and giving me the experience like of being here live on camera as well. It was really exciting. Thanks so much for that. I'm looking forward to do it again.
Yeah, no problem.